Hi students, so in this upcoming module you will be learning how to look up codes, the ICD-10 codes, and so I wanted to make this video to kind of go along and work with you on some of these codes. So first of all, if you are not in front of a computer and you don't have the encoderpro.com opened up, please pause this video and go ahead and launch that and log in. There's also a Word document associated with this video that you will need to use to write down the codes and turn that in for a grade. So once you have logged in to encoderpro.com, it's going to look like this. This is your home page, okay? And it can be a little overwhelming because this is an actual software that is used in the medical field for coding purposes. So this is something that is actually used in the workforce. However, if you start, you're more than welcome to look in and just kind of play along and see what everything is, but it can get very overwhelming. So for chapter 6, what I want you to focus on is here in this upper left hand side where it says all code sets. Click on that and select ICD-10-CM. This is going to narrow your options to just the ICD-10-CM codes, and that's what we're looking for. I don't want you to get overwhelmed with all the other options as far as CPTs and HCPCS and all that we'll learn that later on, but for now we're just going to focus on the ICD-10-CM. So every time you log in for chapter 6 to Encoder Pro to look up codes, make sure that you select the ICD-10-CM. Okay, and then just click anywhere on your screen to go ahead and have that selected for you. So in your Word document, the first one that we're going to look for is strep throat. And then this is the actual medical terminology for strep throat. Okay, so I'm just going to do a Control-C to copy. If you want to do a right click on your mouse and copy, that's totally fine, however you want to do it, as long as you copy that, or you can type the term in right in the box. It's up to you. For the purposes of this video, I'm just copying and pasting. It's very much easier and a lot faster. So once you've had your term in there, you're going to click on search. Okay, and then this is the options that the system thinks that it is related to whatever you're searching for. So the first option here, acute pharyngitis. This is based off of all the options, the closest to what we're looking for. And the reason is that our question didn't say anything about meningitis, scarlet fever, sepsis, tonsillitis, rheumatic fever, measles. It didn't say anything like that. So that's how I know that these here would not work. So I'm going to stick with acute pharyngitis. Okay, and notice you have a little plus sign here. You click on that plus sign to see the options, other options that you have. Notice J02 is your primary code, and then everything underneath it still has that J02, but it has a .0, .9, and .8. So if you're thinking, okay, well, if I just put the J02, is that going to be right, or am I going to get credit? The answer is no. You have to have the correct code moving forward. And the reason behind that is that in the medical field, when you submit a claim, that claim has to be perfect. There can be no errors whatsoever, or the insurance is going to kick it back and will not pay for that whole office visit. So whatever your doctor did to that patient, that money is not going to be released until you submit a correct claim. So let's say we just pick J02 for our diagnosis. Okay? When you click on that, see this little red box here? It's flagging you, telling you if you hover over it, just hover over it, it says 4th character required. So what's a character? Character is the numbers and letters. So 1, 2, 3. This one has 3. This is saying that in order for this code to work, you have to have a fourth character. So how do you find that fourth character? Well, the options are right below, indented and right below. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's our streptococcal pharyngitis, and then this is acute pharyngitis, so that wouldn't work. And then acute pharyngitis unspecified. Ours is specified, so it's this one right here. And it does have the 4 characters, 1, 2, 3, 4, that this little flag here requested. So if I click on that, it opens up to this code detail for your diagnosis, J02.0, and it just gives you a description. You're more than welcome to read over it and explore if you'd like on your own time, but for the purpose of this video, we're just going to move on. So the correct code for our streptococcal pharyngitis or strep throat is J02.0. Okay, obstructive rhinitis. All right, let's just copy all of that and Control C to copy, and then Control V as in Victor to paste, and do search. Okay, so our question doesn't say anything about this being an allergic reaction, syphilis, common cold, asthma, so none of these work. None of these right here. Chronic rhinitis, this one is probably what I'm going to be leaning on, so I'm going to click on this little drop down or this plus sign to open up more options, and here is chronic rhinitis. Well, it still doesn't say obstructive rhinitis, but let's see what happens when I click on J31.0. Okay, J31.0. Notice you have an indentation and then you have all this information right here. So if here is our obstructive rhinitis, although this is saying chronic, our question didn't say chronic, but this is as close as we're going to get to our diagnosis code. If any of these is what we're looking for, then the J3101 is our correct code, and obstructive rhinitis does fall into that list of possibilities. So this is our code, J31.0. So we're going to enter that one. And then move on to tobacco use. All right, so we're going to copy it and paste it on our term box and hit search. Okay. So based off of our question, this person is just using tobacco. We don't know if it's a female or a male, whether they're pregnant, whether they're addicted to nicotine, whether they had an allergic reaction to smoking, whether they're trying to seek counseling. We don't know any of that information. The only thing that we do know is that this person is using tobacco. So based off of our options, the closest thing that I see is problems related to lifestyle, because smoking is bad for our health. So it would be a problem related to lifestyle. I would click this open, the plus, and there is tobacco use. Again, it's very important to always click on this hyperlink just to verify that we don't have any flags, that it is applicable for the term that we're looking for the diagnosis that we're looking for. And see here, it says excludes, so we could not use this code if it was a history, if they were dependent, if they're using it during pregnancy, which none of this applies because we have no idea. So this would be the correct code for tobacco use, Z72.0. So we're going to add that one on as well. Z72.0 for tobacco. So for number 4, arteriosclerotic cardiovascular disease. Okay, so arteriosclerotic, if there's a we should have learned all of this in medical terminology, but I know that some things you might forget. If there is ever a code or information that you are not sure, Google it. Just enter that term or that word into your search engine and Google it and find out what it is. That way, when you get to your codes, it'll help you identify which code's easier for you. So we're going to copy the arteriosclerotic cardiovascular disease, control copy, and we're going to come to our term box and paste it there and do search. Okay, arteriosclerotic cardiovascular disease. So arteriosclerotic is when fatty plaque is narrowing the arteries, and so they develop the cardiovascular disease. So arteriosclerotic disease, it didn't say anything about syphilis. Other peripheral vascular disease, didn't say anything about peripheral. Family history, we don't know. Now arteriosclerosis, that is a little bit closer to what we're looking for, but of other arteries, of aorta, of renal, we don't know any of this information. So that's why this particular one would not work for our arteriosclerotic cardiovascular disease. So we're going to keep looking. So chronic ischemic heart disease. Now ischemic means a condition in which the blood flow is restricted or reduced. So yeah, the fatty plaque that's narrowing the artery or preventing the blood to flow smoothly, that is exactly what we're looking for. So we're gonna open that up, and there it is, arteriosclerotic heart disease of native coronary artery. So it also has a plus sign. So I'm going to open that up just to see what the options are. And okay, so the only difference is without angina pectoris. So let's look at this first one, I-25.1. Okay, see, it gives you a flag. It's asking this code. You can't use I-25.1. It's not a valid code unless you add a 5th character to it. So 1, 2, 3, 4 characters won't work. It has to have a 5. So here is the I-25.10 that we saw on the other page, and we don't have the angina pectoris, so this is our code. This works. So I-25.10 is the correct answer for number 4.